later on. In the meantime, we got to celebrate. Dianna Russini's back on the radio show. It makes me so happy. Hello, friend.
Hi, it is good to hear your voice and hear Lucas's voice. I will continue to make a case that he should be the host of the show, but either way, today I'm going to just allow you to do your job.
Do you know that that's the only thing I can get you and Mike Giardi to agree on is the fact that I shouldn't be hosting my own radio show?
Please, it's the only thing Mike Giardi and I agree on, too. I just spent a week with him in Buffalo, and man, it's like we're just oil and vinegar. We do not mix very well. Well, excuse me, oil and water. Oil and vinegar mixes fantastically. We are oil and water, and one day we will figure out a way to get along. But I think it's good, right? Like to have a reporter at the NFL Network despise a reporter from ESPN covering the same game. To me, it just pushes the competitiveness. And tune in to me because I'm going to have better info. Because Mike, we know what Mike is.
No, there's no question. He was terrible. We had him on earlier in the week, and I said, "There's no." I was very complimentary. It's tough for me to say anything nice to him, but I was very complimentary of the job that you and so many of our other friends and colleagues at a variety of different networks have done in the coverage of the Bills situation with DeMar Hamlin and all these different things. But yeah, there's no question. We know who the superior reporter in these when it comes to the coverage of the league, and of course in terms of appearances on this radio show, we know who the big dog is.
This is just a small example of why Mike isn't very good at what he does. So we're in Buffalo together. It's a sensitive story, but we got to be there pretty much all hours of the day as we're waiting to hear more about DeMar Hamlin's health, but also waiting to hear from Bills players. So, he has his SUV sitting there outside, sitting inside waiting to go do his report. So I hopped in just to say hello, catch up. He's got water bottles everywhere, food everywhere. I asked to use a charger. He doesn't even have a charger. Like he's absolutely useless at this point. So, because usually when you have to cover these big stories, you want to find people you can hang out with in between because you have a lot of downtime. And I quickly realized when I go to Buffalo, I'm alone.
Yeah, that is what it is. At Dianna ESPN is where you can follow her on the socials. So, it's kind of a bleep show down here, Dianna, in the meantime, before we talk about actually meaningful football that's going to be played.
It is, yes.
What I just from 1,000-foot view, and I know the number of people that you discuss these various openings with across the league. What do you make of the GM and offensive coordinator situation down here in good old Nashville, Tennessee?
I'm still not fully sold on the firing of the offensive coordinator. I really thought they'd hang on, which I know Titans fans are listening going, what? Because, I felt like Titans fans wanted a change at the offensive coordinator position week 3, maybe even going back to last season. But I just feel like the organization sticks with what they're comfortable with, and it seemed like that was something that they were going to be comfortable with. But then after we saw the results, and to Todd's defense, you take away his best pass catcher, Derek's not having a great season, Ryan gets hurt, you're asking a lot. But I do think change will be good as this Titans team is going to move forward. Let's go back to the GM talk. I think this is going to be a really interesting hire on what direction they go, and knowing that Mike Vrabel is going to have a lot of power, and it seems like he already does, and you can just look at the fact that John Robinson was fired and Mike Vrabel was not. That told you everything in terms of how ownership views who's the more valuable person in the situation. So to find a GM that's going to be able to get along with Vrabel and also have the same vision as him, I think that's not as easy of a task, especially just knowing what Coach's background is, where he comes from, how he does things. Anytime I've ever talked to anyone with a connection to New England, on the coaching side of the world, they've always said it's so difficult when you grew up New England, when you grew up the New England way, the Patriot way, and you have to then adjust to other ways of doing things. It takes a minute. And they're always going to believe that they do it the right way. So I'm curious to see if there will be a New England connection. I don't know of anything or anyone that they're interviewing that does at this point. But I think Mike Vrabel finding someone that he can work well with that same mentality that he has and the type of players he's looking for. And I'm also interested to see if he's going to have any roster control. How much of a say will he have? I think that's going to be big. And if I'm a Titans fan, I want him picking the players he's coaching instead of him being given the players and then trying to find a way to coach them up.
Okay, so there's a variety of different things there. I want to start though with the last point that you made about if you're a Titans fan, having Mike involved in the selection of the players or more involved in the selection of the players. I understand why that would be the case, but also the example of that most recently is a guy that Mike worked for in Bill O'Brien. And I know you can't translate the sins of one to another just because they worked in close proximity, but there's a lot of parallels, Dianna, to that situation that I look at. I'm like, I don't know how I feel about this entirely if I'm somebody who is of rooting interest for the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah, no, and that is a fair comparison. That's a fair way to look at it. We saw what happened in Houston. But I think that there is also a strength in Vrabel with knowing what he is good at and what he isn't, and how much. Look at it this way: with John Robinson being there with him and bringing him in over the years, and Vrabel staying in his lane and allowing John Robinson to make all those decisions, tells you that Vrabel has the ability to not need full power and control. I don't see a world where this general manager comes in and is just a talking head, and Mike is doing all the making all the decisions.
Right.
I don't. He doesn't, as much as a leader and just determined person he can be. I think he knows his strength is football and the interactions with the guys. I think he's going to allow somebody to come in to take care of all the GM responsibilities. And I think it's going to be the word, I think you guys have all been hearing down there is a collaboration, right? And I think that's important. And I think that's good, by the way. A lot of the teams that I cover that have success, there is a lot of collaborations. Very rarely is it just one person making all the calls.
At Dianna ESPN is where you follow her. Dianna Russini of ESPN here with us on 104.5 The Zone. Most interesting NFL job opening from a coaching standpoint is?
Can I say one that's going to be open later? No, I'm just kidding. No. That would be amazing.
What are you doing?
I'd be coming in with some heat right now if I could. Name, the Dallas Cowboys right now, if they were to lose this weekend, which, this is why the whole Sean Payton sweepstakes to me is so very interesting.
Wait, but is that like a real thing? Like if they blow this to the Bucs this weekend, is there a real chance that McCarthy gets fired?
I think he's in trouble. I do.
Wow.
I do think that if Mike McCarthy doesn't win, it's gonna come up. I don't think his job is 100% secure. Jerry has put together a roster that needs to go further than this weekend. And if they get bounced already, this can't be good. And look, this is not taking away from what Mike McCarthy's done this year, because he's done some really good things.
Sure.
But if you see the way this team is slowly kind of digressed over the last few weeks, even against the Titans on that Thursday night game with Josh Dobbs under center, and the Titans almost able to pull that off. I don't think I can't comfortably tell you right now that Mike McCarthy's job is safe. I think there's going to be a lot of questions if Dallas does not win over the weekend. But to me, I think the Arizona job is really juicy. It's really interesting. It has potential to be really good because there's also no GM there. So you're bringing in two new guys, which to me, as soon as I saw that Cliff Kingsbury was let go and Steve Keim is stepping aside, I actually thought Sean Payton immediately. Young quarterback, a mobile quarterback, a solid roster, and then he can bring in his own GM, a guy that he wants, because if anyone's going to want, we talk about the fear of having all the power. That's the kind of organization Sean Payton's about to run, because that's what it was in New Orleans. It was Sean literally had his hands on every single detail of the New Orleans Saints, from what they put up on the Jumbotron at the Superdome to which players were going to start. So that seems like a place where he can go in there and just take over. So to me, that's most interesting. But we will see. There, there is one that's coming that we're all going to go, whoa.
Yeah.
And by the way, all those Titans fans who thought it was going to be Tennessee's head coach, that seemed bizarre to me and wildly wrong, which we now see it's not happening.
So, I mean, you get those tweets too then about Vrabel, obviously.
All the time. It's actually like
Dianna, make it
obsessive.
make sense. I'm literally banging my head on my console in front of me. Like, I don't know where, and I love them all very much, but the sense of entitlement that all of a sudden they have is crazy to me.
It's not so much sense of entitlement. I think it's I feel for Titans fans in moments because it never feels easy. No win is ever easy. But I think what happens is as soon as the game kicks off, Titans fans just assume that their roster looks like their competitors. And then they forget that actually it doesn't. It looks like a high school varsity team at times because of the injuries and just the different types of players, unfortunately, that haven't been able to go or all the reasons, including some bad picks as well. We'll just call it what it is.
Yeah.
So, I feel and I have felt, but it was one of those things from afar and from covering other teams. I just kept thinking, you guys have no idea how bad it could be, and that if Vrabel did wind up getting axed, he would have a job as Rob Ryan famously said, before he even walked out the door. So, there are people. In fact, I've had conversations over the last week or so about this with talking about Coach of the Year. You wind up falling down a wormhole of conversation about coaches, and he is considered to be a top 3 coach in the league.
Yeah.
So that would be nuts for the Titans to move on.
You're in Buffalo again this weekend. The Dolphins at the Bills. Sunday, a noon kick. Obviously you were there last weekend. An incredible scene unfolded, and the best possible case scenario as far as the health of Damar Hamlin is concerned, released from the hospital and able to continue his treatment at home. But this game, why aren't the Dolphins dead in the water walking in there without Tua?
Well, here's the thing. They've actually had success in the passing game against Buffalo, but they also ran it all over them in the first half the last time they played them. So there's still dynamics of their offense that they're going to be able to function without Tua. Like, they're going to be able to still cause a threat, and just even talking to some defensive players of the Buffalo Bills this past week about it. They are not taking this taking this lightly. And let's just put in this other element, because it's a real thing, Buck. They are coming off an exhausting week.
Yeah. From
the start to the end, and when I say the end, I mean just getting through the game and coming up on top and beating the Patriots. This has been the first week of normalcy for them. They're back on their regular schedules. They've got a 1 o'clock game at home again, which they haven't had all season. They haven't gone back-to-back 1 o'clock home games. Creatures of habit, and they need it. But they're also tired, from everything that came together last week. So this could be one of those games that, if they're just off a little, they could get caught. So this is just something that I still think you can't say it's a sure thing, especially this time of year. Couple turnovers, you're in trouble. And Josh is known to do them.
She's been all over television, radio already this morning. It's going to continue throughout the course of are you on TV again today?
Yeah, what a treat for the world.
Yeah,
yes, listen, all afternoon.
We've missed you, and I know. Listen, you came in here insulting me. It's fine. I'll take the blows as they come. But everybody has missed seeing you on television, and we were reminded as of why, because you're absolutely killing it. And I can't imagine what that's like to come in off maternity leave, especially with still 2 small children at home who look like absolute studs, by the way. I'm incredibly impressed, even as I already knew how impressive you were.
Well, thank you. I'm actually talking to you with my eyes closed. This is what I do now. When I do radio, I just sleep while I do it, and then on TV, I just kind of pin my eyes open and try to get through it. So.
Oh, the line dropped. What happened? Did you hang up on Dianna?
No, I would never.
Oh, it's okay. I'll text her.